right after that, turn on my mic and turn off the lectern, okay? Because because I don't want people to worry about having the words and the order of worship since we're not using it hardly at all. Here are the matches. So what I'm going to do is, please join us in our chalice lighting so you can light, and I'm going to do a call and response. Come, let us gather. Come, let us gather. Things like that, okay? And you'll light. Okay. Yes, that would be good. Thanks, Chris. Chris just opened the door. Why isn't anybody in here? Well, it would be helpful. If whatever you want to do. People having to paying attention to these details. Today is a forum. Well, we have two people. We could, and we could put it back on. And he's coming. I know my husband's coming.
They've been here this week, so it's been really nice to have both ways, either there and there. Well, no. They're older than them, they're older than that, right, indeed, Bob is in his early seventies, and there's a lot younger than me. That's the plan. So that's a skews a generational line. All right, we all get where we get when, I know. But always been a part of it. So very your family tree is offside. He says there's so that doesn't mean it's not just the side. Fair warning.
No, don't worry. No solos.
All right.
Hey.
Well, dear, good to see you. Oh, are you kidding? Thank you, thank you.
I was on Star and I kept meaning to text you and then.
We were in a boat.
Very cool. Um. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, fierce yet free, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for me. Please prepare to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
It's switching up the order. I'll bring this up.
So welcome. We're doing a very different service this morning for those of you who are used to coming here for service. And we have some first timers, some friends who are joining us. So I'm going to invite you to echo the call to worship. We're kind of going to the oral tradition this morning. Unless you have a fan. So, come, let us gather. We gather to celebrate the sacred within and among us.
We gather to celebrate the sacred within and among us.
We come to seek spiritual growth and understanding. We come to seek spiritual growth
and understanding.
We strive to practice acceptance, forgiveness, and love.
We strive to practice acceptance, forgiveness, and love.
Together, We work to build a world with justice and compassion.
Together, we work to build the world with justice and compassion.
Come, let us gather together.
Come, let us gather together.
I'm going to begin this morning's service with a story. And I'm just going to come back here. And hopefully you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you can find another place to sit, but you could just listen. So again, this is the oral tradition, and this story is called The Castle Door, and it's by an old professor of mine. Welcome. You can find a seat in one of the front pews, or there's some chairs up here too. Elisa Permain. So it's an original story. Many years ago, in a distant land, there was a prince who was riding along with his army. They were riding through the forest and they were looking for a new land to conquer. And off in the distance, they spotted a glowing castle. It was pure gold. They couldn't keep their eyes off of it. And through this meadow of flowers, wildflowers, and bushes, they rode up to this castle. I must find out, the prince thought, about this castle. Who's in it? And as they approached it, they saw this glorious image, a face in the window. It was brighter than the sun, yet gentler than the flowers in the meadow. The prince instantly fell in love with this image. He knocked on the door. "Who's there?" called the voice, disappearing from the window. "It is I am a prince, a noble prince from a nearby land. And we are a very brave people. We are, in fact, heroic in nature, and I would love to come inside and meet you, find out more about you." And the voice responded, "There is only room for one here." Well, the prince rode away with his army, feeling rather dejected, and spent the next 7 years conquering more lands and really becoming a hero to all who knew him. He tried to get the image of this castle out of his mind, but he couldn't. He felt this ache in his heart. He came upon a wise crone and told her about what had happened. She said, maybe she's intimidated by the army. Maybe you should go by yourself. Oh, of course. So the prince walked up to this golden castle. He found his way back and knocked on the door. The voice came, "Who's there?" "It is I. I've come by myself this time. It's just me. I'm just a man." "There is only room for one here," replied the voice again. Discouraged, the prince went off again and spent another 7 years thinking of this image and conquering more lands, but it just didn't feel the same. Nothing was bringing him joy and pleasure anymore. And finally, he happened upon a wizard who listened to his story and suggested, maybe you need to take off your armor. You need to lay down your sword. Maybe it's intimidating. Of course. So he, this time, walks up just as a man, a plain man, and knocks on the door. "Who's there?" called the voice.
I'm just a man. I'm your humble servant. I'm here to connect with you. Please let me in. When the voice responded, there's only room for one here. This time, the prince walked away. He was completely dejected. He didn't even go back to his kingdom. He wandered, and he thought a lot about this face he had fallen in love with, this image, this beautiful castle. And suddenly, he realized it came to him, and he found his way back to the castle. He knocked. "Who is it?" asked the voice. "It is thou." And the door opened. The end. That is the story of the castle door. So good morning again. As some of you know, Amy and I have been teaming up to offer a service over the summer about singing as a spiritual practice, singing as prayer. Today's service, we're going to dive a little deeper into what it means to sing as a meditation. So the story you just heard, The Castle Door, is by a professor that I had at Lesley University. I always tell the story about the story is that I took this class because it was the only one that fit into my schedule. I still remember it was on Monday nights. And I wound up, because I was like, storytelling, isn't that like, I don't know, I'm not gonna, sit around the fire and tell stories, I don't know. But I got hooked on this idea of story as being central to us as human beings. And Lisa Davy Permain, she focused a lot on wisdom tales and has written several books. Actually, one of them is right there, Amy, if you want to hold it up. This Castle Door comes from Doorways to the Soul. And I have to credit also my dear friend Jana, who's here. I was talking to her a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this service we sing together. And she told me that, something I didn't know after many years of friendship, that when she was little, she used to get up and go to church on her own. I think you said you were like 5 years old. And she would find her way to church, even in like some kind of snowstorm. You said she was actually talking about this day where no one else was there and when she showed up. But I asked her, what drew you to go to church every week as a young child? And she said, it was the stories and the singing. So I thought, there has to be a story connected to our meditation today. And lo and behold, it was like a wink of God when I opened this book. I literally opened this book to that story. And this idea of being at one with your spirit, with God, with whatever language of connection and meaning you might use that brought you here this morning, is really all about meditation. That's what meditation helps us to do, right? It opens the door to our soul. It is thou. So there's a laying down of our armor and a kind of sweetness that comes when we're able to make that connection, when we're able to create that space, a space of honesty, a space of vulnerability. So this morning, I invite you all to lay down your armor and be with us in this meditative space with compassion and compassion for others, compassion for me, compassion for yourself, and a gentle curiosity and courage to apprehend what feels sacred to you. As advertised, if you read the blurb about this service, this will be a very different experience. So thank you for showing up whether you knew or not, to play with something new and different this morning. It can feel risky. Maybe you will sing. Maybe you will listen. Maybe you will enjoy songs with words, and maybe you will not agree with some of the words or find them challenging. In the spirit of true play, there is no right or wrong way to be here. I'm going to ask you to repeat that. There is no right or wrong way to be here. That is so hard. I recently heard I'm working on this project and with a nurse at Mass General who said, no right or wrong way. That's terrifying. So it finally hit me. That is a practice, right? To let go of right and wrong. I invite all of our parts into this space, and I invite us just to practice a gentle noticing of what comes. So just a few more words before we jump in to the experience. I read there's this lovely book that I have, Singing Meditation, Together in Sound and Silence. And it's by Ruthie Rosauer and Liz Hill. And in it, there was a quote from a Unitarian music minister. Quote, "Sacred music is any music that reminds us that we are alive." Sacred music is any music that reminds us we are alive. So we know that music's ability to transform our minds and hearts happens frequently enough that it's held, the tradition of music is held and celebrated in all faiths, right? We know this, it's a very powerful medium. So we have lots of traditions, some of which we will explore today. The sacred harp tradition, which was like a full worship through music and harmony, that began, I believe, in the 17th or 18th century. Buddhist chanting, some of you might be familiar with. The Jewish nigunim, which are songs without words, very intentional. And the Teze tradition, which started in 1940 when a Swiss minister founded a monastery as a refuge for Jewish folks fleeing persecution. And it has become, and still exists today, an ecumenical singing monastery. And they have 3 services of singing a day. I hope to make it there. It's on my list. The kirtan, which in Sanskrit means repetition, and we'll hear more about that from Amy. Just one more quote from the Singing Meditation book. "Our personal understanding of what is sacred naturally colors our view of how it relates to singing. Spirituality is a universal impulse toward phenomena that are difficult to define or discuss." I'll say that again. Spirituality is a universal impulse toward phenomena that are difficult to define or discuss. Singing, wordlessly or with text, offers a unique way to plumb the depths of our spirituality. We will move now into singing. And I invite you into, I'll lead us through this. We'll have some singing, we'll have some silence. I'll invite some reflection. But I invite you to just settle in where you are. Take a moment, feel yourself in your space. Feel your feet on the floor, maybe. Feel your shoulders back. And repeat back after me. My feet, my feet, my planted feet. My feet, my feet, my planted feet. My diaphragm, my diaphragm, my supportive diaphragm. My diaphragm, my diaphragm, my supportive diaphragm. My lungs, my lungs, my breathing lungs. My larynx, my resonating larynx. my tongue, my articulating tongue. My voice, my sounding voice. Now, if you feel comfortable just placing your thumb near your belly button, we're just going to get some breathing going. This is a great way to ignite the breathing mechanism and all of these parts that work in our singing system that we just named and more. So we're going to take a straw breath in and then short, long exhales. So it's a straw breath in and then short, long out. 2 more of those. And now just relax. Let everything relax. And notice if you feel any different, just with that little bit of breathing. Breathing is a tool that we have for a reset anytime. So simple. There are lots of ways to center yourself through breath. And it prepares us to make some sounds. So now I'm going to lead you through some toning. Repeat back after me. There's no right or wrong way to tone. And this exercise comes from interplay. Some of you might recognize interplay as being something that Reverend Lisa, is certified in, and she talks about it from time to time. So just releasing those ideas of right or wrong ways is a doorway to play. So I'm going to sing a pitch and invite you to sing in unison, whatever unison means to you with that pitch. And we're going to take breaths and just keep singing until we stop, okay? Beautiful. So now I'm going to sing that same pitch and invite you to sing a pitch that feels higher to you than that pitch. It can be any pitch. And there'll be like this cluster of pitches. And just notice. You can change your pitch if you want, and you can even change your vowel. You might hear other vowels coming from me, but I'm going to stay in that one pitch. Okay? Beautiful. And now I'm going to invite you to sing any pitch lower than that. That feels lower. There's no right or wrong lower. And we might even start to get crazy and add consonants if you feel really ready to experiment. So any pitch that feels lower for you. Ooh, And now I am going to invite you to just do a big sigh, because I feel like doing it. We do this in interplay too. Just a big sigh coming down. Let out. We call this X-forming. We have a lot of information coming in all the time, and we need to X-form that energy. We need to send it back out into the world. So we'll do 3 big sighs. So take breathing in through the nose. Some of us are used to doing that with our arms. We just naturally do it. 2 more. So just noticing your voice, right? Feels great. So this time, I'm going to move into giving you all kinds of choices. I'm going to start off with a pitch, and I'm going to sit down, actually. Join the circle now. Is I think you turned the lectern off, right? Hi, Atticus. So I'm going to start with a pitch and invite you to choose whether you want to join me in unison, or go higher, or go lower, or what's another choice you can make. Just listen. You can always just listen. I might just listen sometimes too. Doesn't mean we're ending. And taking breaths where you need to, and really settling into it, relaxing into it, and see what happens. There's no right or wrong way. Just a few moments of silence. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Keep singing, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. So when I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. So sing back after me. This is a song in our hymnal called When I Breathe In. It's by Sarah Dan Jones, who's a music minister up in New Hampshire, who I've had the pleasure of doing a songs workshop with a couple of years ago in Denver. I felt like I was meeting a celebrity, and I was like, oh, you wrote that song. So some of you know it. Actually, if you know it, just go ahead and join me. We'll sing it through a couple of times. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you start with the drone, right? Breathe in, breathe out, and then we'll switch. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. So when I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe. Keep going, you've got it. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
So I have a story. Last month, Dale and I had the pleasure of visiting our daughter Alexa, who lives in Grass Valley, California, an old mining town in Northeast California full of Trumpsters and old and young hippies. On the Sunday we were there, the three of us went into town to check out the UU Church, aptly called the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains. Picture wide steps up to a squarish white stucco building with a standing on the side of love and a Black Lives Matter sign. And inside, a white room with a slightly vaulted ceiling and red chairs set up in concentric circles, a grand piano in the middle, light and airy.
So different from our beloved New England church here, yet also the same, with our same hymnals stacked up against the walls. It was so familiar, welcoming, and comforting, as were the greeters at the door. It happens that the minister, Kevin Tarsa, had just returned from sabbatical and was giving a service called Love is the Door, Chanting is the Key. The description for it being drawing inspiration and a sense of connection, as well as joy and delight from singing together. Now, knowing that Jenny and I were going to do this service today, I thought, how serendipitous is this? And as Reverend Kevin said, this was a service unlike any of his usual services. He was drawing from his recent study of kirtan to lead a service that was all in song, not the familiar order of worship with known hymns, but with simple, repetitive phrases of music that could be learned immediately, and when sung together in repetition, created a remarkable sense of transcendency. And let me tell you, it did. Sometimes these pieces went on for 5 minutes. It felt like being enveloped in a wave. People were moved to tears. I looked over, and even my loving but sometimes cynical Alexa was crying. The sense of wonder and oneness in the room was palpable. I felt like I was home. After the service, it was so exciting to learn that the minister knew our former ministers, Mark Harris and Parisa. Here we were on the other side of the country sharing this connection. It was so beautiful.
Do you want to talk about the song at all?
Oh, okay. So one of the pieces he did was a song called We Are Opening Up in Sweet Surrender.
So I'm gonna,
You could turn my mic back on, thanks. I'm gonna lead this with Amy. We're gonna sing this, and I have to make a little confession that, well, Amy knows this. The first time I heard it, I said, I don't know about this. I don't know if you use in New England will sing this. I don't know. She had me watch the YouTube video, and actually that was another connection to the story. It's this idea of opening up and surrendering, right? To being one with God, being one with the Spirit and your soul, your deepest self.
He also
Being
gave you
connected.
the option of saying the world instead of the one, but we're going to do
We're going to go with the one. We're practicing pastoral authority here. So, just repeat back after me. We are opening up in sweet surrender. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light. To the luminous love light. Yeah, say that again, really like you mean it. To the luminous love light. Yeah, of the one. Make me believe it. All right, let's just say it again. We are opening up with sweet surrender. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. Of the one. Think of that image, right, in the window. That bright sun, brighter than the sun, yet gentler than a flower. We're opening up to that in sweet surrender. All right, so Amy's going to start us off, and she's just going to sing it through once, and then we'll break it up for you.
We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one.
So let's break it up. We are opening up in sweet surrender. Just try that. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. To the luminous love light of Again, call and response. We
are opening up in sweet surrender.
We are are opening up in sweet surrender
To the luminous love light of the one.
to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are holding up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening, you got it? We are opening, we are opening, we are opening. Remember what I said about the Sanskrit meaning of kirtan? Does anyone remember what it means? Repetition, yes. So we're gonna move into repeating that. I promise you, you'll be singing it all week. And you will be opening up in sweet surrender in lots of different moments. So why don't we sit and we're gonna just really experience this as a chant and a meditation. And you might hear some harmony. I invite you to harmonize if you feel like it. But just really relax into it, right? Open yourself up to it. Maybe feel your feet on the floor again. Feel like you can breathe. If you start to get bored, that's good, because that's where you start to deepen. You might play around and try a harmony or something like that, or just listen, right? Just notice. Give yourself that space to notice. Whatever comes, comes. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are opening. Last time, we are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. We are opening, we are opening, we are opening, we are opening. And just a few moments of silence here. Perhaps considering a word or an image of something you are opening to. I invite you to join me in this next song if you know it. It's called Find a Stillness. It's from our UU hymnal. I know some of you know it. If you don't know it, you are invited to simply sit and listen and find your stillness. Continue into this meditative moment. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. I'm going to sing the harmony. Here we go. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Deepening in to stillness and silence, I invite you to stay open, practice courage in sustaining your open heart to all the joys and sorrows we are all holding here. Let them come. See them, feel them. Know them. Another moment to bring those up. I am going to invite you to share if you would like. We're going to pass this stone around that says peace. You can absolutely pass. But if you would like to put a word or a phrase into our circle, so that we can all hold it together. This can be about opening. This can be about joy. This can be about grief and suffering and sorrow. The light of Elizabeth Medaglia. I am opening up to the space that she has created.
are children going out into the world on their own.
The gift of this service.
I will pass.
Living our authentic self and laughing and loving and living with friends.
I am opening up to full acceptance of what is. May we all live with ease and kindness.
I will also pass.
Common understanding. Finding reasons to celebrate.
Accepting the gift of song, fresh air, fresh ideas.
The oneness of all.
Remembering those who have passed. Strength.
Opening to love light.
Hope.
People down there. Now is the time in our service that we do the offering, and this will be brief. So today's offering will be dedicated to First Parish, and for all of you who love this church and love its mission, please give generously. You know how to give. Either text 617-539-7576, or if you want to make a cash contribution, there's a collection plate in the front of the church. Thank you very much. I also want to express my deep gratitude to Jenny, who finds a way of reaching inside us in such a profound way.
Please don't feel any pressure. We can work on, I know we're kind of in our mode, our circle mode here. And for those who come to church here, we know how to give, right? So-
Visitors, no obligation.
So, time moves quickly when you're meditating, it looks like. So I think I'm going to push ahead to our final moment. And what I'd like to do is read a little piece from right here. Bringing us back to story. Coming back. Whoop, too much. Use the lectern, okay. So, the castle door. Elisa suggests that as you go through your week, contemplate the idea that we are all one with God at our core. And you can ask, be curious, how does this fit with your religious and personal beliefs? Namaste is a Buddhist salutation that means roughly, I acknowledge
the godlike place in you, or that place where you and I are one. As you go about your week, try silently greeting each person you meet with namaste, and notice how it makes you feel in relation to them. And now I'd like to close this book and give it to my dear friend, Jana, whose birthday it is today, and invite you all to sing with me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jana. Happy birthday to you. Namaste, Jana. Thanks for that inspiration. You know, it's these moments when we're hearing stories, and it reminds us all of this richness. This book has been sitting unopened for many years on my shelf, so thank you. I ordered a new one for me. So I invite you all to stand for our finale, our final song, and we're going to open up again. We'll sing through a couple of times, because I'm determined that you all have this song in your heads this week, as I will too.
I don't remember it.
We are opening up in sweet surrender.
No, I thought you were going to do it.
Oh, right. No, we're skipping right to this. That's okay. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. And I invite you to close your eyes. Imagine yourself moving through the week, opening, and we will open our eyes now and say together, Namaste. Thank you. Go forth and have a wonderful week.